Toronto, well, Eastern time. I'm out here just driving from Mississauga. I currently work at a bus company, Metrolinx to be just started to be quite clear. I want to tell you guys one thing. I want to ask you. I know I always talk about this, but it keeps coming around. I'm an 80s baby, right, guys? So the way I grew up in Toronto compared to how this new century lifestyle is going on here when it comes to the kids and how we live life. I feel like when I was a kid back in I would say around the mid 90s going into the early 2000s, the way I was raised was kids used to play, at the playgrounds, and kids never really could speak back to their parents, and they had to be home before the street light came up. You know what I mean? Stuff like enjoying time with your family. I was looking at some reels back on my phone. We didn't even have reels back in the day. You know what I mean? I was looking at some reels back on my phone and just looking at the fact that, wow, like people used to actually like have fun with their friends and go out. You know what I mean?
In 400 meters, turn right onto the Westway.
That's my GPS going off. People, go out with their friends and enjoy themselves. There was nothing really holding them back. There was no tablet for them to pick up and just say, let me sink my face into the tablet so I feel like I'm one with the tablet, because you're not one with the world, right? These kids, all they want to do is watch videos, and I guess they feel like they're living some type of lifestyle in that tablet of some sort, which doesn't make any sense to me, guys. You know what I mean? I don't understand
right
how
the
new generation is going to really. Sorry, I don't know how that new generation is going to really become effective in this life that we live. Because yes, it's a digital world we live in. It's a digital era we live in. But I don't want it to just be.
Head east toward Martin Grove
Let me go
Road.
on my tablet and become extinct to the rest of the world, because at the end of the day, it's kind of like, how are you going to integrate? How are you going to have conversations with people, right? Now you're just going to talk to Siri and the Android phone for the rest of your life.
The Westway.
You know what I mean? Like, that makes zero sense, guys. You know what I mean? Like, I miss the era. I believe the 80s and 90s era, possibly the 70s, but I grew up in the 80s. I'm an 87 baby. You know what I mean? Shout out to my Virgos. You know what I mean? But I'm an 87 baby. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like, I remember when the weekend came, I would call my boys up and, my girls, whatever the case is, I'm referring to friends. And like, we'll go out, man. We'll set up for a club, or even a Friday night, we go dress up. When I'm talking about dressing up, we go into, techno clubs or, hip hop clubs, whatever the case is. Back in Toronto, we had like Club Fluid and all these other types of clubs that used to be popping. We used to put on our square front shoes, you know what I'm saying? Dress up in our nice pants, iron and press your shirts.
Meters, turn left onto Kipling Avenue.
You know what I mean? We didn't wear tight jeans where, you could barely breathe. You know what I mean? We wore pants that could actually fit. You know what I mean? And then we actually stepped out, call your friends up, we jump in the car together. We used to take a few shots, and then we drive straight downtown. You know what I mean? I know y'all, how you doing?
At the light, turn left onto Kipling Avenue.
How you guys doing? It's nice to see y'all. We used to drive downtown, have some shots with your friends, park up downtown. Hope to God the cops don't roll, under the garage and catch you pre-drinking. And then you go straight into the club and you had tons of fun. You know what I mean? And like, I'm talking about, we used to dance. You actually had to go talk to women, respectfully. You actually had to learn how to talk, right? You don't go on no chat site and say, hey, sweetheart, can I link up with you and see if we match and swipe and all this kind of nonsense that's happening in the world today. You had to use your skills.
For 2 kilometers.
And then when the club was done, you didn't get too drunk. You went home. We might have a 1-2 fight with somebody. You don't want to create problems. I was never a troublemaker. I was a dancer. Not no Chris Brown, but I was more of the Marion style. Salute to my boy Marion out there. But all love to Chris Brown and the era that we live in. And we just enjoyed life. You know what I mean? Nowadays, these kids, like, what kid knows about that kind of life? you know, talking to a woman or interacting with friends, using the dial rotary phone and actually calling people and sending messages and hoping that that woman's going to give you your number back, or, you know, actually being a man, especially for these boys nowadays. You know, I just, the way of life just doesn't make any sense, right? This new day and age doesn't make any sense. I couldn't curse at my mother or my father, you know what I mean? Like, I had to listen, I had to take it, you know. It was constructive criticism, you know. You had to, yes mom, yes pop, you know what I mean, and learn from that, you know. Nowadays, the kids are talking back and cursing back at your parents, you know what I mean, and they ain't scared to swing on you. They ain't scared to basically run out and do a whole bunch of nonsense. They're not even scared to go to jail, you know what I mean. What's up, you know, like what's going on with our eras, man? Like, things are supposed to be getting better as we evolve, but I don't know about y'all, but I ain't seen it, you know. So, you know, this whole purpose of the video is me just talking about life, y'all. You know what I mean? And I'm glad you guys are, how you doing? Labaya, you know what I mean? I'm out in Toronto, Ontario. You know what I mean? I'm out here in Toronto. I'm just driving the 6, you know, where Drake's from. You know, he represented the city well. You know what I mean? We can't knock him down for whatever's happened. He's been on a good streak for over a decade. You know, it's about time for him to hold it down for the city, come back home and enjoy life. You know what I mean? Oh, what's up? Oh, you're in Pakistan? Salute. You know, like I said, as people, we just gotta love each other. You know what I mean? Respect each other, and just, you know, in this day and age with the tariffs going on, and I don't even want to talk about Trump too much. This is no disrespect to Trump. You know, he's doing what he thinks is best for America. You got to think about the people. You know what I mean? You got to respect the people.
In 400
people
meters, use the right lane to take the Ontario 409 East ramp.
I believe a lot of these worlds were built off of just people from different countries. Not people that sitting behind a computer talking about, oh yeah, I'm going to run this country down to the ground. You know what I mean? Everybody has to work together. You got to trust the people.
Use the right lane to take the Ontario 409 East ramp, then merge onto Ontario 409.
Respect everybody's decision in life. You know what I mean? We all got to grow together in this world. You know what I mean? I don't want to be, I'm not a sexist, I'm not a feminist, I'm not into all this woke lifestyle. I'm not knocking it down. You know, people are people. We love one another. We grow together. You heard? And we can actually get somewhere. But what government wants that for us? You know what I mean? Like, government's going to make their money. They're going to do what we have to do. It's rich and poor lifestyle, right? It really depends on where you want to go. But back to the kids. You know what I mean? Yeah, like in Toronto, North America, you know, vehicles getting stolen like crazy. We used to have this back in the day in the early 2000s, but nothing as serious as this now, where, you know, it's happening at 13, 14, 15 years old, and then they're getting caught by the cops and getting bailed out within like the next 24 hours and going right back and doing it again. What kind of judicial system do we have over here? You know what I mean? In Toronto, it kind of sucks. You know, I miss the days where I could walk outside and have to worry about anything. You know, now I gotta walk outside and look both ways. Well, you know, in the whatever century we're living in now, it's going downhill. Like, I look at the infrastructure of Toronto. Yeah, it might look beautiful to a certain extent, but are we really progressing when it comes to the 401? Look at the 401, right? There's traffic, 24/7 traffic, guys. Like, what's really good? You know, we have so many people coming in from different countries into Toronto, but we cannot sustain. We can't put them anywhere. Where are they gonna live? On our driveways, on the side of the street. I've never seen so many homeless people in so many different areas of Toronto in my life. Like, this is hands down ridiculous now, man. All right, thanks to Justin Trudeau. Good job, bud. You did a great job. All right, you really you collected all your money. You screwed up the world. You know, you support everything that doesn't help us. That's great, right? But it's all in your pocket. Well, all we can do is, like I said, work together, guys. You know. Oh, yeah, no worries. I don't want to die. And thank you. Oh, thank you. Greatly appreciate it. You don't see good people nowadays. When you see them, you say hi to them and you thank them and God bless them, right? because a lot of people in this world, like, I don't want to say I'm not going to judge, but you know, we're going through so much things in this day. Like, you go to work, right? You have a crazy day. You're so happy to leave that job to go home to spend about, what, 8, 9, 10 hours at home to come right back to do it for another 5 days.
Use the left 2 lanes to take the Ontario 401 Express.
But when I think I
then
had a
merge onto
terrible day,
Ontario 401 Express.
if I think I had a terrible day, I got to think about the next person that probably lost his job. You know what I mean? That's why it's hard for me to beat my horn at people, because I don't know how bad that person's going through it. You know what I mean? I know I had a bad day, but I'm out of it. You know, I'm done with the crazy work lifestyle. You know, leave that work at home, right? I don't really believe in overtime, because at the end of the day, it's kind of like a waste of money. And if you have kids at home, you know, don't you want to see your kids? Don't you want to spend time with your kids and your family and your loved ones? If you don't love them, well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to hear that, but you know, life's too short, you're right, to just put all your effort into a job and take it home with you, and then before you know it, you're right back. Remember, you're working for a billionaire, $1 million company, right? If something happens to you, what number do you have on your badge? What number do I have on my badge? They're just going to replace us. It makes no sense, right? All right, so accept the fact that you go to work to make money, invest your money into the stock market. Don't get fooled by the stock market. Learn, become proficient in those areas. Invest into yourself, right? I'm not gonna say learn to trade, but take your skills and improve it, right? Can nobody take certain skills away from you, right? Unless you hit your head or break it open, right? We're always learning every day, right? And just remember, companies nowadays, they need us, right? But I always tell people, take as much of the skill you have, improve it, and don't be afraid to try something new, because whatever you're not doing or whatever you're scared to do, that might just be your calling. That could just be your blessing that God has set for you, but you don't know. You know what I'm saying? Because you're too scared, right? Just because your boss tells you, oh, you're not doing so well, how do you know he's not lying or she's lying, right? What is she going through? Remember, we're all going through something in life, right? We could always improve. Even your boss could improve. We're not perfect. We're people. But I always say, enjoy your life, guys. I said that in my last live. You know what I mean? Just walking with my daughter and my sweetheart, my wife. Those are my blessings. But I want to say it in every live I basically put up here. You know, enjoy your life, right? And like I said, support us, man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just having a long drive here. Come from Mississauga, it used to be a 30-minute drive. Now it feels like a freaking decade, 12-hour drive. I'm really boosting there, but it's like an hour and a half. And I'll tell you right now, I don't really understand where half of this traffic comes from, because I see no construction. And what's up with people always looking at an accident and slowing down on the other side? Like, what you gonna do? You gonna jump over there and join the accident? Like, I don't get it. You know what I mean? Like, I see the accident, but keep your eyes straight. You're gonna create another accident looking over there. You know, just everything, right? And like I said, it started off with the kids, right? And you know, we gotta really support our kids, guys. You know what I mean? And if they don't really want to take, and I mean, like I said, everything starts at home. If we're not taking the initiative to raise them properly, because most of us came from parents that were that are still with us, or we lost. You know, my condolences to anybody that lost their parents recently, or any family member. But we have to show them what's right and what's wrong, because if we don't, the government's going to raise them, right? And if the government raises them, like I said, over in Toronto, in North America, or even whatever country you're at, they're not using them for anything good. You know what I mean? So take advantage of life, you know, and I mean, like, really enjoy your life. You know, eat healthy, work out if you can, and stop eating fast food. Right? Get off that fast food life, y'all, because as much as it seems like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do some of it later and I'll work out later, that's just an excuse, right? I know that excuse. I've done it many times, and it's not really got me anywhere except pain. I feel sluggish. I can't function. You know what I mean? So let's do better for our lives. You know what I mean? So God bless you guys. It's a short live. Support. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hopefully I get home within an hour. Other than that, God bless you guys. Ask any questions. We're here to learn to love. We're here to support. You know what I mean? And we just want everybody to stay happy. If you're not happy, we're going to try to work to make you happy. We're all in this together, guys. Other than that, y'all have a great day. God bless y'all.